It's a great pleasure and a great honor to be here in this wonderful Congress. And it is a great success even for this Congress to take place in the face of all the opposition it has had to face. I'm delighted to be here for the first time in your beautiful country. I stand before you as an American. There are very few people who are as American as I am. The first tailor went to North America in 1635. We then fought in the Revolution against Britain, the War of 1812. Then my people moved to the South, and all of my ancestors of military age fought for the Confederate States of America. We have fought in every war. We voted in every election. North America is stuffed with our bones. It's drenched with our blood. So I stand before you, a Southerner and an American. And yet, with your permission, I would like to claim the honor of also considering myself a European. My culture, my heritage are European. The faith of my fathers is European. The language I speak is from a small island off the coast of Europe. In every way, my being is filled with the essence of Europe. And Europe, of course, is one people with many nations. We are one great family, and that is why your great men of Portugal, Vasco da Gama, Oliveira Salazar, they are my cousins, my brothers. And of course, the great Americans, George Washington, General Robert E. Lee, they are your children, your brothers, your And so, as I like to say, we are a world brotherhood of Europeans because wherever Europeans have gone, they have taken Europe with them. Now, I told you that my heritage and my culture are European. My destiny and my future are also European because wherever we are, we face the same challenges. Mass immigration, low birth rates, a hostile media, excessive consumerism, individualism, and perhaps worst of all, a potentially suicidal sense of guilt. And the greater a European country was, the more guilt it is supposed to feel, especially if you had an empire. And so as an American, perhaps the first thing I should say to you is, I apologize. I apologize for the terrible poisons that for decades the United States of America has brewed up and sent all around the world, but poisons only for Europeans. The poison of radical egalitarianism, the idea that every culture is equally beautiful, every religion is equally true, all peoples, all ethnicities, they are equivalents, they're interchangeable. Of course, they're not. And our rulers, they don't like us to talk about the great replacement. But if we are permitted to say, well, this group is growing and this group is smaller, they say, don't worry, you're being replaced by yourself. God, what a joke. But at the same time, they say something completely contradictory. They say when Europeans are replaced by people utterly unlike themselves, this is a great thing. This is diversity. Diversity will make us stronger. And if diversity goes to the point where Portuguese become a minority in Portugal, or the French in France, that will make you only greater. But what does this mean? This implies that somehow Europeans are inadequate by themselves, and we are improved when people unlike ourselves come to live with us. Again, this is an insanity only for Europeans. Imagine going to China, and you stay there for a while, and then you go to your Chinese host and you say, not a bad country you have here, but you have one big problem. Too many Chinese. You need to diversify. You need millions of Pakistanis, Indonesians. Look at the great things Turks have done for Germany. The wonderful things Guatemalans have done in the United States. Yes, you need diversity. Diversity to the point that Chinese become a minority. They would say, this man is crazy. This man is a criminal. And they would lock you up in a room with rubber balls. Now, I've been speaking about these things for 35 years. As one of my young comrades said, I've been standing up for our people before it was even cool. And I like to think it is now cool. I have helped make it cool. But I will tell you, I have been through dark times. There have been times when I thought there was no progress. And perhaps no progress was possible. And that all I was doing was making a record, making a historical record, so that 100 years from now, when the editors of the great Chinese encyclopedia of world history got to a chapter called What Happened to Europe, that maybe some diligent editor might find not all of us are cowards and fools. Now, one of the darker times actually was quite recent, and it began on May 25th, 2020, just 5 years ago. That was when George Floyd ascended into heaven. And that was That was the beginning of many months of collective insanity in the United States, insanity that spread also in parts of Europe. You may not remember, but in no fewer than 300 cities in the United States, rioting and arson and looting was so severe, there had to be curfews. In no fewer than 30 states, we had to call out the National Guard. That's men in uniforms, military uniforms, carrying rifles to keep the peace. And something else equally important. During that period, there were hundreds of monuments and statues that were torn down, defaced, not just of my Confederate ancestors, but even of people like Abraham Lincoln, Ulysses S. Grant, and Americans who probably don't even know about Kit Carson, people like Andrew Jackson. There was even a statue of the Virgin Mary that was taken down and desecrated. But do you know who is the person of whom the largest number of monuments and statues were taken down in this country? Do you know?
Columbus.
Columbus. That's right. Some people say he was Portuguese. But this tells you something extremely important. Why Columbus? When we are rioting and looting because of Black Lives Matter, why is Columbus the enemy? Because Columbus brought European civilization to the New World. That goes to show you just how negative and horrible that period was in the United States. Since then, some things have changed. One is that Donald Trump was elected. And then, under Joe Biden, countless millions of illegal immigrants just waltzed across the border. The attitude under Joe Biden was, anyone can come. America is up to grabs. Take whatever you can and it will be yours. Under Joe Biden, in 1 month, as many as 300,000 illegal immigrants crossed the southern border. vote under Donald Trump. In the last year, the most recent month, only a handful crossed. And they were sent back. Under Joe Biden, they were all welcome into the United States. And I can tell you that the foreign-born population of the United States is finally dropping. Except for a slight dip during COVID in 2020, the number of foreigners has been growing tremendously ever since 1970. As of Donald Trump, in his first 7 months, has ended a half-century of vigorous replacing. 2.2 million foreigners have left the country. 1.6 million of them were illegal immigrants. Elon Musk has changed what used to be Twitter into a platform that we can almost call real free speech. There's also a new spirit here on the old continent. It's a spirit that we can summarize in one word: remigration. It was a great joy to me to attend the Remigration Summit of 2025 and see great men like Martin Zellner, Alfonso Gonzalez, talking about the crisis we face, talking so eloquently about what we must do to save our civilization. Yes, the Bidens came, and they can go. They must go. And let me tell you, there's only one good thing about getting old. And that is to see an audience of young men and women like you, who are committed, who are devoted, who understand the crisis we face, and you are prepared to do what is ever necessary to solve this problem. Now, some of you have been kind enough to tell me that I have been an inspiration to you. Well, let me tell you, you are an inspiration to me. It is young people who give me hope. You give me more than hope. You give me confidence that Europe will survive. Europe has a future. And for this sense of confidence, I cannot thank you enough. However, for us to secure the future of our people, we must do much, much more. Our numbers are growing, but we are still a minority. We must reach and convince our wayward brothers and sisters and bring them into our movement. The people of Portugal must understand that your ancestors built this country for you, not for strangers who are not you, who do not want to be you, who cannot be you. They built it for you. But it is hard to reach our people simply by appealing to their self-interest. That works for all other people, but not for us. Do third world people hesitate for a moment before they come north to your country and take advantage of the beauty and abundance that your ancestors gave their lives for? No, they don't hesitate for a moment. Will the Chinese care if we destroy our economies in the name of some kind of carbon neutrality while they pollute the planet? No, they will not care. We are different. It is our nature to be fair-minded. So fair-minded that we can be easily taken advantage of. And so I believe our best argument to people who are not yet with us is to point out the double standard, to show that all other people take for granted their survival in their homelands, and that it is only we who are denied this basic human right. But we must also accept that most Europeans will oppose us. I believe they are acting in goodwill. Many of them truly believe that what they're doing is right. They are deluded, they're closed-minded, they're stubborn, and they are wrong. But if we persuade them, I believe we must at least accept that they act with sincerity, because many of them must join us, and we must touch their hearts, not just appeal to their minds. Yes, it is true. We are in a fight for our lives, just like our ancestors, the Battle of Toul, just like our ancestors, the Siege of Vienna, just like the Afrikaner, the Battle of Blood River. Our ancestors, they had a simple challenge: fight the enemy or die trying. I wish that our tasks were so simple. If it were that kind of battle, I'm sure every Portuguese man in this room would march laughing to his grave if he knew that would save Portugal and its people forever. I know you would have that commitment. But that is not the kind of fight we have. For us, it is a much more difficult fight, because among the opponents arrayed against us are so many of our brothers and sisters. This is the great tragedy of our struggle, and I believe it makes it different from any struggle ever in the history of human beings. We have the horrible problem of trying to convince our fellow Europeans that we have a right to survive, and many of them are our own immediate family. I believe, however, that within practically every European, there is a spark of European patriotism. And it is our job to blow gently and lovingly on that spark until it bursts into a roaring fire. That's what we must do. And I believe that to persuade them, there's something that is just as important as our ideas, our logic, and the absolute, unimpeachable morality of our cause. We must inspire them with our nature, our appearance, and our demeanor. Yes, we are right, but we have to be more than right. If we want our fellow Europeans to think as we do, we must want them, we must be the sort of people they want to be. And for that, we must be the best European men, European women we can possibly be. That should always be our goal, but in this time of great crisis, it is even more important. We must set examples of honor, of courage, of virtue, of faithfulness, of fortitude. These are the traits of our people. And if we embody these traits, we can reach our fellow Europeans. I believe there are men and women in this room who will be examples of that kind, who will touch the hearts and souls of our fellow Europeans and bring them to our cause. We are now in what I consider to be the greatest struggle in all of human history. On us lies the fate of our people, the fate of our civilization, the fate of everything our ancestors fought for, and the fate of everything that we love. And so in this struggle, you must never forget, each of you has the blood of heroes in your veins. I would give 35 years. I would give anything to be 35 years younger, so that I could spend another 35 years in the service of our people. I myself, I may not live to see the future of Europe and Europeans assured and fortified against all threats, but you will. So now, it is my honor and my privilege to stand shoulder to shoulder with all of you in this great cause to which we dedicate our lives. And I count on you to carry that cause to ultimate victory. Thank you very much.